Hey everybody, it's C.A.N.C.E.R. Today I'm reviewing the 2014 release from the band Architects entitled Lost Forever, Lost Together. Let's talk about this album. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about how I got introduced to this band and all this other stuff, just want to get to the main points about this album. When I went to this album 100% completely blind, didn't hear any singles, just wanted to hear this album 100% as it is. And for me, I was kind of surprised about this album, but at the same time, I still have some things that I have to say. Now, let's talk about some positives, then we'll get to the negatives, and then we'll go back to all about positives, but I want to talk about some positives first. When I first heard this entire album for the first time, I went, great. This album does not contain too much negativity in my personal opinion. This album has some great musical sections, some great song structures, some great ideas, and the songs, for the most part, progress like they should. They go in the right direction that they should, and I was generally surprised because in past releases from the band, I have found where there are whole entire songs that don't really get it for me, that don't really do it for me that much. But for the most part, for this album, I was generally surprised of how these songs were really progressing and how they were being formed and how these riffs weren't just being spliced together, just like, okay, let's throw a riff here and then go to the next riff. I'm not saying all their past songs are like that, but the songs that I just didn't really like and really get did that for me and felt like that way for me. But for the most part, these songs do progress in that sense to where they really do progress the right way. They transition correctly. It all sounds great for the most part. But for the negative side, it's not entire songs. This is the thing that I really noticed. It's that there's certain riffs, certain ideas that just go into like a section here that you don't hear again. There's just some moments on this album, and not many, I want to be clear, that don't really live up to the expectations, is what I'm trying to say, to these other sections that are really good. There's just some riffs, ideas, song sections on this album that feel kind of mediocre compared to the rest of this album. The band is showing what they can do with the rest of this material that we're hearing and we're enjoying, at least for what I enjoyed. But there's some ideas and some things that they throw into these songs that don't really live up to the expectation. They don't really have anything more than it's just a riff. It's just a transition. It's just an idea. There's nothing really more to it. It feels like they didn't really put too much effort into it. But for the most part, for like looking at this album in its entirety and not just singling out things and pulling things out and going, okay, what do I think of this certain section or this song or this idea or this progression or transition, whatever. Just looking at this album completely, this is a good album from the band. I will go back to this album from time to time because I enjoy what I hear for the most part. But I wanted to say that there are certain sections that, to me, just don't live up to the same ideas and the same quality as all this stuff over here, because it's something that I notice and you may notice as well. But anyways, I enjoy the sound of this album. Let's get back to some positives, okay? I enjoy the sound of this album. I really like the guitar sound. I love it. It sounds technical. It sounds intense. And when the guitars go from not being intense and being distorted, we get to these clean guitar sections that sound very melodic driven. There's a lot of melody influence, some melodic influence, if you will. And it just sounds really good. Some great riffs there with the melodic guitar tone. I really enjoy the bass guitar. Could not hear it exactly as much as I wanted to. Had to put on big headphones to hear the bass come out through the mix, but it was there and I did enjoy it when I could hear it. I enjoy the sound of the vocals. We'll talk about that as we get to the actual band members. Now, the drum sound, that's the biggest positive I can say about the sound of the band, because I really enjoyed the sound of the drums. I don't know why it is, but it just feels like that this drum sound is just very powerful for what it is, and it blends well with the rest of the sounding of the band, and it just sounds great. It really shows the intensity of this drummer when it gets to those sections, and it shows when the drummer, when he's pulled back, that he can play these really awesome, simplistic, pulled back beats, but at the same time, I just really enjoyed the sound of the drums. It's just something I wanted to mention. Let's talk about some of my personal favorite tracks on this album, and I'll give a little bit of detail of why, and then we'll get to the sound of the band. We'll be done. This review is kind of shorter, but that was the point because I wanted to get to the main thing about this, and I'll mention one thing before we get to the rest of the band. The first track we're going to talk about is Gravedigger, a great opening track. I really love the clean guitar tone riffs. It kind of just had this really eerie feeling, like what's going to happen. I'm just waiting for the kick in and waiting for the thing to start blasting off and go into some intense moments from this band. And it got to that level. It got there. and I enjoy it. Naysayer, track number 2, enjoyed that. The Devil Is Near, track number 4, I like that track. I like the title of that track too, but that was a good track to listen to. I really enjoyed that one as well. Now, track number 6, Red Hypergiant. I think that they took a audio recording from a movie. I'm not sure what movie it is, but this is a very short track, clocking in at 2 minutes and 9 seconds. And I just enjoy this kind of instrumental track. It's got a lot of great melodies in it. It's got a lot of great guitar parts. And they just, the band sounds great for what they're doing here. It's a short track, but it really has some really unique moments that really caught my attention. Some of my personal favorite riffs from this album is coming from that track. Track number 9, Castles in Air. Another good track as well. I like the transitions. I like the vocal work, especially on that track for some reason. Track number 10, Youth is Wasted on the Young, featuring Murray from the Xcerts. I'm not 100% sure, but it's featuring a vocalist, I'm assuming. But Youth is Wasted on the Young, just the song in general. That song, to me, was a very powerful track. It's kind of sad that it didn't end the album because the last track is The Distant Blue. But Youth is Wasted on the Young, I just love the vocals on that song. I love everything about that track. It just had so much going for it. It had so much great song ideas and just great transitions, and overall just a lot of great moments musically went into that album and vocal-wise as well. I don't know why. It was just a track that I kept repeating when I just kept repeating it last night and a couple of nights before when I was getting into this album. It was just one of those songs I just wanted to keep hearing again and again and again. It was such a very powerful song. Definitely wanted to talk about that. The Distant Blue, the final track. I like the title of that track as well, The Distant Blue. And it's an interesting track to end the album. It's got a lot of great moments. And I just enjoy how this track ends. And it kind of ends the album as it kind of begins. The Distant Blue just has some great moments. But like I said before, I wish the track number 10, Youth is Wasted on the Young, did end the album, but it didn't. But The Distant Blue is definitely a song that did end this album, I think, on a good note. Now let's talk about the actual personnel. But before that, I want to say that if you're a fan of metalcore, progressive metal, and hearing bands kind of get into different types of genres, because I know not everybody knows about this band, and I should have said this earlier in the review, but if you are a fan of progressive metal, metalcore, and bands diving into other genres like I was just saying a second ago, then check out this album, see what you think. If you're a fan of Architects, check out this album as soon as you can. But I would say that, this is not an album for everyone to really enjoy. It's not as intense as the heavier bands that we all know and love. But it's definitely, I think, a good mixture of ideas of the metal genres that they're kind of diving into. I think it's a good mixture, a good idea of what they're trying to do here. So I would say check out this album if you're not really into Architects, or if you've never heard the band. I would recommend check out a track or two. Definitely one of the songs that I mentioned through my personal favorites. Let's talk about vocals. Let's talk about the actual band itself, and then we'll be done with this review. Sam on vocals. I enjoy his vocal work, but that's the thing. A lot of vocalists that do his type of vocals that he's doing on this album, I necessarily don't like, but I don't know why. I just like his voice I just like his voice in general, and I like his voice on this album. It sounds pretty good. I really like the lyrical content. I think is pretty good as well. It's not like the best lyrical content I've ever heard. It's like it's the best lyrics I've ever heard, but it's definitely got some good things going for it. It's got some great ideas that he's putting to the table on this album. So I got to give credit. Lyrical content and his vocals sound pretty good on this album. He really has a voice for this. Tom on guitars and keyboards. Let's talk about guitar playing first. The guitar playing is just intense when it needs to be. It's melodic and peaceful and soothing when it needs to be as well. His playing, I think, is very good. He's got a really good playing style. I like his some of the lead playing he does. I like the melodies he does. The riffs he plays, for the most part, are very catchy and sometimes technical when they need to be. He just knows how to play different types of riffs and kind of knows, for the most part, how to transition this type of riff to this other type of riff that's not necessarily the same idea, so it kind of transitions to another style of riff. So he knows how to do those kind of transitions, and his playing is very good. And like I said earlier, the guitar sound is really, really good. The keyboards, for the most part, I think was very good. They really added a new element to a track when it was thrown into the mix, and it was good for where it was. So no complaints for the keyboards. Alex on bass, like I said earlier in this review, I wish the bass was turned up. I said this about every album, that the bass isn't necessarily turned up. but it's a constant thing that I gotta mention. The bass guitar, at least, it doesn't need to overpower the drums, the vocals, and the guitar player. It doesn't need to overpower that stuff, but it needs to be able to be heard enough to where I can hear the distinction between if he's following along with the guitars or if he's doing something different. I just want to hear that. But for the most part, for Alex here, he did great on bass. He does a good job. He does a couple of different things than the guitar player is doing, so he's adding some unique stuff here and there. But overall, I do enjoy his playing, but I just wish, once again, that the bass was turned up a little bit more so I can hear him playing. Because, you know, a bass player is a part of the band. It's not just a backup guy, so let's just keep that in mind. Dan on drums. The drumming, like I said, I love the drum sound. His drumming, I feel like, was great on this album, and he really does deliver some amazing drum parts. And I feel like that he is I think he's probably in my personal opinion, one of the better drummers in metalcore today, at least for my standards, because I don't listen to that much metalcore because I don't really listen to it that much. But when I do, his drumming, I think, really pulls me into really liking the genre a little more, and I just like his play style. He really plays great, and he has a great sound that he got on this album, so props to him. Overall, the band sounds pretty good for this album. It really does sound like Architects, and they got a good album here. They got some great moments, and overall, you know, it's a good album. So, the rating for this album, as we're closing down on this review, the rating I'm going to have to probably give, I would say a high 7.5, a low 8. But I'm going to stick with 7.75. I know that's kind of in the middle, but 7.5, 8, 7.75 is kind of in that range. This is an album that does, like I said, deliver a lot of great things, but it also has some moments where I'm just kind of going, it could have been more. But overall, like I said, it's a pretty decent to good album. So that's my review, guys, for Architects, Lost Forever, Lost Together. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want to see me or my content, click my name or subscribe to see more. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.